Hi, I'm Lizzy Friedman, this is Inside Ambition, and you're on 34th and Art, the place where we talk all things arts and entertainment in and around Drexel University. This week, we're taking a look at a new theatrical production, Sin Eaters. At first glance, it sounds like a play that would be about the late-night munchies, just people gobbling handfuls of gummy worms and Cheez-Its on stage. But no, it is much different from that. The play is a fully virtual theatrical production by Theatre Exile, a South Philly-based theater company that has produced countless of amazing productions. Theatre Exile dedicates itself to engaging in challenging plays focused on the complexities of the human condition and providing a safe, creative environment for local artists to share their voices. Theatre Exile describes Sin Eaters as towing the lines between satire and harsh reality. Sin Eaters is a hilarious, poignant, and brutal examination of the human experience and how the daily toil of life transforms our perception of ourselves and those around us. The story follows Mary, a content moderator, one of the unseen people who scrub our social media feeds of violent, sexual, and other disturbing images. A job I would personally hate. Like H8. Get it? Because, the internet. As she goes deeper into the recesses of the internet, Mary finds a graphic video that makes her question her relationships, her sanity, and her own capacity for violence. Mary, I am with ya. There are some things on my Twitter feed that I wish I could unsee. We also need one of those content moderators for Snapchat. You know what I mean. I'm so honored to be able to talk to the actors of Sin Eaters today. Please welcome B. Jean Nyo and David M. Raine. Thanks so much for being here with me today, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Of course, and congratulations on the opening and previews and the whole show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so exciting to be able to create something in the time of COVID from home.
From home. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. I'm feeling that with this. It's such a weird experience, but it's just so great to be able to do it at all.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's like if we were in a Philadelphia theater, it would be very localized. It would be Philadelphians, maybe Delaware, maybe New York. But when you're doing things online, it's instantly worldwide. So it's an amazing, this preview, right now we're in preview week. This is the second night of previews. Anyone in the world can watch it. It's pretty wild. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's it's not just Philadelphia. So it actually, being home and in quarantine has actually expanded your reach as an artist,
Yeah, totally. And that's so interesting to see. I definitely want to see, after all of this is over, to see how we kind of, the whole theater industry kind of goes about streaming and how we keep being able to have theater so accessible to everyone all around.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that the other day.
Yeah.
I love live theater and I can't wait to get back in a room full of people to perform a show and actually physically breathe with an audience. But also I hope every theater maintains a digital component so that people who don't normally have access to theater can watch what we're doing or engage with theater companies somehow,
And under-acknowledged artists. So artists that necessarily wouldn't even get the ear of a theater producer can actually put on a show. And if there were theaters that were putting aside a certain amount of revenue or even space on their site to be sort of facilitators.
So it's exciting to think about this is actually a cultural shift, that might expand what we do as theater artists and not limit what we do.
I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
To keep that, as an ongoing thing.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. I can't wait to see what we kind of do with that once things kind of open back up again and we kind of get to this new normal that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that goes a little into my question of kind of what this process has been like for you guys doing this kind of virtual show.
It's so awesome to be able to create work with each other, in the space where we call home. But also it's crazy. Right now we have a neighbor. I don't know if you could hear it, but there was just a buzzsaw that just went off.
But here's what's funny. Dead silence until we scheduled the shooting of the play. Like nothing.
Yeah.
And actually, she didn't even warn us. We warned them because there's some yelling and there's some language in the show. So we sent letters to the houses on either side of us and said, hey, if you hear us,
we're rehearsing a play, we'll be running the play, and then, we'll be capturing the play to be digitally streamed.
Yeah.
So it won't go on forever, but these are the dates,
So we sent one to the neighbor here, and they were like, oh, great, thanks for warning us. And like 2 days later,
and we're like,
good. It's like, wait, did you have something to warn us about?
But it is, it's so crazy because this play goes into like dark territory. Yeah. It's got mature themes and mature content and mature language. So a huge thing for us as significant others and as artists was talking through, okay, if we do this play, what are the boundaries we have to set for ourselves? Yeah. And how do we take care of ourselves and each other in this process? And it's been an ongoing conversation because there are nights where we turn to each other after rehearsal, and David's really good at this. He'll be like, hey, let's shake it off, and we'll pour a glass of wine. We make sure we have a sip. We make sure we give each other a kiss and a hug. Yeah. And we're like, okay, do you want to check in? Were you angry about something as character, or were you angry about something in the process?
Right.
So in some ways, I think, it's made us a better couple having to go through this, having to work through this play. Things weren't always rosy. There were moments or days when we were like,
because the energy is there,
Yeah.
And you have to live in that space too. I wanted to also ask how you kind of separate your performance space from your living space.
Yeah, well, we quite literally did. Our entire basement is not the entire basement, but a section of the basement is the set. So we can literally come upstairs, close the door, and be in our apartment space. And, it is literally separate.
But also I'll show, let me turn the camera and I'll show you. There's a props table here. And
that's our kitchen table. So we haven't eaten at the kitchen table for weeks.
So I think creating the physical boundary of the basement as set was smart, but also having daily check-ins about emotional boundaries was even better.
Yeah. That sounds so important. And now kind of getting into the crux of the show, in this age of technology with the themes of this show, what are you kind of hoping that audiences kind of get out of this at the end of the day?
Oh, I hope with this show and also what's playing out in our society right now, that everyone questions what they read and see online. That I think
critical thinking.
Yeah, I think this play addresses that phenomena that happens when we spend so much time engaged in social media or so much time going down a specific wormhole. It's really easy to kind of be brainwashed by whatever track that you're looking at constantly, whether it's celebrity gossip or fashion tricks or political stuff. And I think this play really pokes at the need to question what you see and to check in with real life humans and not just be locked into the digital medium,
To piggyback on that, the idea of communication again. So for instance, her character can't communicate because there's actually an NDA with her job.
Right.
But so she can't come home and say, I just saw some Scrooge, this crazy stuff and it's really freaking me out. So there's the secondhand trauma that he receives because he's just watching the relationship go down the tubes and there's no answers. And it's why are you acting like this? Why'd you just say that to me? What, and she can't answer, but she's starting more and more to believe what she's seeing. And then it gets crazy. So, I think the idea is it's critical thinking. And I hope that my hope is that people come out with a sense of, I need to see things and understand things for myself and not just take it off the face of my phone.
Right.
Do my research, decide on my own whether something is a certain way.
Yeah. I think that's definitely very important. Like knowing what you're looking at, if it's reliable, if it's vetted, you know, yeah, especially with everything that has happened in our nation over the past 4 years. I think that's very important.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that also kind of goes into content moderation and like how this show and the story has shaped your views on current, like present day content moderation.
I mean, I think it taught us a lot because we researched too, because, you know, I didn't know exactly who content moderators were because they're not allowed to talk about it. And we found some articles that actually talked about how difficult the job is. I mean, it is a 9 to 5. So you're sitting there in front of a screen for 8 hours, just inundated with this imagery that can be violent or sexual or whatever in nature. And rapidly having to go through all these images to assess whether or not they're appropriate for publication or for, you know, whatever
public consumption. Well, it's crazy that first of all, you would expect it to be a person that had certain qualifications. These people, there's no psychological training. There's nothing. They're literally people that didn't have another choice of a job, almost like that. And they're just like, oh, it pays this amount an hour. Okay, I'll do it. And these are the kind of people who are looking at these things. They're not prepared for this stuff. They're not mentally prepared, emotionally prepared, psychologically prepared to look at a murder, look at some violence, you know, like
they're often really young.
Yeah.
They're often really young because
like right out of school.
We think like, you know, the public, we think they're people working for like the big companies like Facebook or Instagram.
Right.
In fact, those companies outsource to different companies around the country who pay, you know, maybe minimum wage, maybe a little more. And they hire recent grads, people with very little job experience to like sit there and just click through.
Yeah.
And so, you know, these are very usually young people who are asked to just suddenly be inundated with this imagery and content and have to quickly process it.
Yeah.
And not get taken care of. But the play, there are moments of like, some of it's funny too. I mean, I think
that's good.
in some ways, like it's a dark comedy at the time.
Yeah.
I think in order to absorb.
Yeah. There's comedic release.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. And I think that also comedy allows for people to understand these kind of like big things a little bit more and like realize why they are wrong. It's like, maybe I shouldn't be laughing at this. I think that's a good use of the dark comedy aspect. And that is absolutely insane, that whole job. I would not be able to do that. I mean, I sit in my classes on Zoom for the whole day and like my eyes feel like they're bleeding just from like watching the screen all day. I can't even imagine watching horrible things and having to like have that be your day every single day.
Yeah. And you can't talk about it.
Yeah.
You can't like have a beer and say, check this out and get it out. You know, you can't. It's just like, you just have to, it's like zip, you know?
Wow. Yeah. That's really crazy to think about. Cause like these are real people. They have lives outside of that cubicle and people that they go see and family and loved ones. And how does that affect their relationships? So I think that's really also crucial to think about. And like that's what your show is bringing out to the public, which is really interesting. And we don't think about this. Like I've never thought about that job ever until I went into researching your production. And I don't think anyone is really thinking about that job. And also with this new kind of view of essential workers that we have. Yeah, that's, I mean, like every, you know, you can kind of make a claim that every single job in this world is essential. And I think that content moderators definitely also fall into that category because, you know, I see things on the internet that I wish I didn't, even with these people that have these jobs. So it's like, imagine all these things that we're not seeing. It's like, it's very thankless.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like the thanklessness of it and just these people aren't paid enough.
Yeah.
They aren't counseled enough. And then they have to absorb it. You know, I think about like how many people take home the trauma of whatever workplace they are and take it out on their partners or take it out on their children or, you know, like that's a very real thing that that I think this play addresses.
Yeah, most definitely. And I mean, that's what I love about theater is that we bring out these social issues and problems that people don't think about very often. And we kind of let people kind of see them in a more understandable way, and kind of put people behind that and be able to maybe hopefully fix the problem or act a little bit better upon it. So I think it's great that you guys are sharing this story with the world. And yeah, just kind of to wrap this all up, my final question for you guys. What is your favorite things about being Philly theater artists?
I guess my favorite thing about being a Philly theater artist is that it's really a tight ecosystem, there's such support between theater companies in this community and between artists. There's relationship building here where I think, people start developing projects together with great intention as to who's involved.
My favorite thing about Philly theater is newly learned. Since the pandemic, I've been impressed of the tenacity of Philly theater. They're like, we are not laying down, pandemic or not. We're putting on a cabaret. We're putting on a show. We're doing this. We're doing that. And I'm like, okay, Philly, that's all, this is really cool. So I definitely have a lot of respect for that, and as well as appreciating have the chance to work with my love. And
I know
it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That's so great. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being on 34th and Art with me today and answering some of our questions. I am so excited to see your production, and I wish you all the best with everything. Yeah, I guess that's all. Thanks.
Thank you.
Lizzy.
Best to you too.
As you can see, Sin Eaters is truly a captivating show that will leave you questioning our technology, real Black Mirror style. Be sure to check out the production directed by Matt Pfeiffer and written by Anna Monch. Sin Eaters opens on February 17th, starring B.G. Nyo and David M. Raine, and runs through February 28th. The show runs approximately 75 minutes, the average length of your normal Netflix binge. Tickets are only $25, perfect for college students aching for more theater content without breaking the bank. Thank you so much for joining me here today on 34th and Art. Be sure to follow Inside Ambition on Instagram at inside_ambition and subscribe to us right here on YouTube for all the latest. See you next time right here at the same address. Bye!